Most people hire professional like yourself, your company, like myself, my company, to get them through that permitting process, right? And so they assume that you know everything about how to get through that process. And that's true until that process is changed, sometimes midstream.
Yes.
Or there is something that you just didn't know, and this is the first time you've ever run across it. And I think sometimes, people get frustrated because they're like, "Why? I hired TJ and his team. They should know how to build these things. They sold me that they knew how to build these things." Or, I hired Blake, and he's had all this experience in the upstate. He should know how to get through this permitting process. And that's true with a big, huge but.
Yes.
And so sometimes things just come up that you've never seen before. I mean, I've been doing this almost 20 years, and I still get things I'm like, man, that's new. Hadn't seen that before. Hadn't seen that requirement before. Never gotten that comment. Same set of, same kind of plans I've been putting into the same county for, 10 years, and they never made a comment. And now all of a sudden that's a comment. So, there's a lot of that learning that still goes on, even for the practitioners, if you will, because it does change. And, the environment is volatile to a point where, you get a lot of turnover in government agencies too. People get promoted, people get leaving, going to the private sector, whatever. And, when that happens, you get to learn that new reviewer all over again. So there is some of that I know is frustrating for clients. And frankly, it's frustrating for, somebody like me who's just like you. Speed is the name of the game, right? Accuracy and speed. And so to delay a permit process because of something you didn't know is frustrating for me too. But there's not a thing I can do about it except address the comment, try to come up with a solution with that municipality or government agency, whoever it is, in the most efficient time possible. And that's what I get paid for. But sometimes that's a phone call in 2 hours, but sometimes that's a month, to get through whatever it is. So, it just depends. And, as the growth continues, that's something that, will get a little bit better, but will always be there. So, I think that's part of the education process for clients too, is it's not always in our control like you would think. And unfortunately you can't always go to that reviewer's boss and say this is ridiculous, because unfortunately that might slow the process down, not make it any better.
Yeah.
And so it's just the design and engineering and construction world that we live in. And I think that one of the biggest things is, for a long time, the Southeast, specifically South Carolina, was immune to a lot of that. Now that we've had the growth, we're now catching up with what other states and municipalities that had development 20 years ago already experienced.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so new to us, because we're not used to, all the regulation of the last 15 years, that's happened. And especially all the changes over the last, say 3 years, definitely since COVID, in the way that things permitted, what's allowed, what's not allowed. All of that has changed in the last 5 years, for most all the counties. And, that's just something we have to deal with, and we have to evolve to, unfortunately, as engineers, as builders, contractors, site contractors too. There's more rules on them than there used to be.
Yep.
More eyes on them than there used to be.